What up, gamers? It's your boy Lincoln Clay coming back crack-a-lack with another video. Remember to hit that like, subscribe if you like it. If you don't, 2 tears in a bucket, fuck it. You know what they say, the show must go on. Now, before we get into this video, the topic at hand, I want to make something, 100% clear that, my preferred platform is the PlayStation. It didn't start out that way, in the beginning. There was a few things about the PlayStation brand that rubbed me the wrong way, and it actually went on for a couple of generations. Um, you know, this generation, Sony got it right, and Microsoft was messing up. That's a story for another day. But anyway, taking you back to the beginning, the first generation, I'll tell you how my issues with Sony started. Because I'm an old cat, so so for you young cats that ain't, wasn't born, pay attention. The original OG PlayStation. This is where it all started. When the PlayStation first came out, um, I was gaming on the Sega Saturn. And I fell on hard times, and I, had to sell it. And I went a little while without, without a console. But once I got my money back up and I was ready to get another console, one of my boys, he had a trunk load of PlayStations, and he was selling them for $100 cheaper than retail. So so I had to jump on it. And Tekken was one of the first games I fell in love with. I played that game, day and night, and I was having a lot of fun with it, stuff like that. That was until I realized you needed a memory card. This here is a PlayStation memory card, and this is where all my issues started. Without a memory card, it really wasn't any point in buying any games, because without a memory card, you couldn't save your progress. So my big issue with the memory cards is they didn't seem to have much space on them. It was like 1 megabyte, I think 8 megabytes and shit like that. So when I bought the first Metal Gear game that came out, I think I had to use like 3 memory cards or something like that to, save all my progress, because, again, without the memory cards, the minute you turn that PlayStation off, you're gonna lose all your shit. So I wasn't crazy about it, but I accepted the fact that every time you buy a game, you're gonna need, 1 or 2 memory cards, what have you. You know, I didn't like it, but I accepted it. But the shit that got me mad was, like, towards the end of the generation, I started seeing these aftermarket companies coming out with these memory cards. There's like 64 megabytes or some shit like that. So, because of that, you was able to save like, 5, 6 games on a memory card, your game saves and shit. And so that had me heated, because I felt like, Sony could have did that right from the start, instead of this 1 megabyte shit. So I felt like, they was nickel and diming us to death with these damn memory cards. So I guess, so to speak, that was probably the first form of a microtransaction. And so, it didn't stop there. The bullshit to me had carried on over to the next generation, the PS2, the record holding PlayStation 2. Now, this console here that looked like a goddamn radiator had me extra heated, because the bullshit from the memory cards was still carrying over. And then I can't really confirm it, but it seemed like when that console first came out, I had heard some shit about uh, a warehouse catching on fire that had a bunch of chips in it for the PlayStation. And I guess a lot of chips was lost in this fire, from what I had heard. So, naturally that caused a shortage in the PlayStations and how many units they could produce. And so that in turn caused, the demand to go up. So now, everybody wants a PlayStation 2, and they hard as fuck to get. And so then, I think at the time that this shit was going on, eBay was pretty new at the time. And so this was the first time I started witnessing people, doing like some online scalping and shit like that. They was buying PlayStations and was turning around and flipping these damn things for like $1,000 and shit like that. So, so that, had me extra heated too. So I felt like Sony, created a false shortage with this so-called story about the warehouse catching on fire, and it caused a fucking avalanche and shit like that. With the console being in short supply and high demand. So I didn't even get a PlayStation 2 because I was like I said, I was heated, and because everybody was going nuts for these damn consoles, it was more trouble than it was worth. So and then naturally we know that that's the highest selling console of all time, shit like that. So and Sony was doing pretty good, and to me it showed what they attitude. So that takes us into the third generation. And finally, the launch PS3, which looks like a goddamn chest freezer. Now, this console right here, I felt was a huge sign of Sony's arrogance, because when this PlayStation first launched, there was two models. There was the 20 gig PlayStation, which I believe sold for $500, and then I guess there was like a deluxe model or something like that. There was 60 gigs, and that sold for $600. And my first reaction was like, these motherfuckers done lost their goddamn mind. I could give a fuck less about a Blu-ray player. So at that point I was like, I'm sick of these arrogant motherfuckers. I'm ready for them to go. And so when this shit happened, I was ready for Microsoft to go ahead and get these motherfuckers out of here. Because I had it with these motherfuckers. And it took a while. I think Sony knew that $600 price tag was like way too much. So I think like once they got manufacturing costs down and stuff like that, they was finally able to knock the prices down. Plus I think they was coming out with games and stuff like that. So PlayStation started picking up steam, and one of my boys was saying like, man, give it a chance, give it a chance. So I went ahead and bought a PS3, and I think one of the first games I had bought on the PS3 was MLB The Show, because my boy had turned me on to that game, and I had fell in love with that game. And then not only that, I don't know if people know that, but the PS3, the share feature that's on the Xbox, that was on the PS3, and not only could you share your digital purchases, with another PlayStation, with another gamer, you could share your purchases with up to 5 people. So that was pretty cool too. So that was one of the things, so after that I started loosening up and started, playing the PlayStation more, stuff like that. And then eventually I got to feeling like the PS3 was a better console than the 360. I felt like the only thing that the PS3 was missing was the party chat, and now that's where, I think Sony pulled a little bit of bullshit right there, that it turns out that the PS3 did not have a party chat because it just was not physically possible because of the hardware that was in there. It wasn't something where they could send a software update through there, a firmware update, and fix it. It was a hardware issue. So that generation was not gonna have a party chat, although it did have a video chat, which was pretty cool. So so that's my story about my issues with the PlayStation brand. It went on for a couple of generations, but eventually I think they got it together. Obviously they did. Look at the success they having right now. And so I finished out that generation enjoying my PS3, and it carried right on over to the PS4. So I'm really enjoying my PS4 Pro. But so this is one video. Make no mistake about it though, Microsoft gonna get their turn in my next video, because we know a lot of they shit, but I got a personal experience with them, that like, had me ready to burn down a fucking building. But we'll get to that in the next video. So but before I sign off, I want to once again say I want to give a big shout out to my boy King Thrash Gaming, because not only is he my favorite YouTuber, we spent a good couple of hours in the party chat, and he was teaching me how to work this SHAREfactory, so I can sharpen my skills, so I got a little bit better, editing these videos and stuff like that. So now the only thing is I just gotta work on my delivery and stuff like that. It's gonna get better over time, you know. So thanks again, Thrasher. I really appreciate really appreciate that, bro. And again, I want to give some shouts out to some of my other favorite YouTubers, Ryan the Professional, ACO7, J-Wags, Hard 8 times, Fat Gamer 7600. Unfortunately, I just saw a video from him where he just, he said he's been sick, so he hadn't been putting out anything lately. So he said he's just going to go ahead and shut it down for the rest of the year, and he'll just start making videos next year. So, get well soon, bro. Take it easy. We'll be looking for you in 2018. I miss that country shit you be blowing up. But again, also before I go, I also want to let everybody know that I'm going to be making adjustments to my YouTube name, because when I took on this name Lincoln Clay, I went to try to search for my video, and it's buried under a ton of Mafia 3 videos and shit like that. So I just could not find the video. So to make it easier for people to search for my video, to hit, to find the videos, I'll be making some slight adjustments to my name. I think I'm going to go with Lincoln Clay with a K, maybe throw a couple of numbers behind it, so that'll make it a little bit easier for people to find it. Again, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. And I will check y'all out soon when I make the next video, when I go in on Microsoft's ass. And that's about it, y'all. I'm out.